Welcome to Alternative Investments Chat,
where we demystify the world of alternative investments and financing for entrepreneurs and investors alike.
With these discussions, we hope you're more empowered to unlock opportunities in your business or portfolio. I'm Erin.
And I'm Erica. Let's get started.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Alternative Investment Chat. My name is Erin and this is Erica. And today it is the third part of our three-part series. So I guess it's just the final part.
The final countdown.
Exactly. The final.
Put that one in there. You hear that. You have to sing.
I know.
That, right?
I set you up for that one. But this is our final installment of our commodity series. So on the last two episodes, we discussed oil and gas, and we also discussed collectibles like fine art. And today we're going to be talking about solar energy.
Solar. I love that. So today, again, we're going to expand our coverage and the energy costs of solar energy. So Erin, tell me, what the heck is solar energy?
What is it? Yeah. So just in case anyone's been living under a rock.
You can't get solar if you live there.
You can't. That's true. So if you live under a rock, then you can't get solar. That would make sense why you didn't know what it is.
Exactly.
But let's quickly cover what it is, just to cover all of our bases here. At its core, solar energy is power that's derived from the sun's rays, which is harnessed through solar panels and converted into electricity. Pretty cool.
Sweet.
It's a renewable energy source, meaning it's naturally replenished and does not deplete over time, unlike fossil fuels.
Got it.
And this technology that is used to capture solar energy, specifically solar photovoltaics, PV, has been around for decades. But the cost of solar panels has decreased significantly in the last 20 years. That has made it more accessible for businesses, homeowners, and large-scale energy companies alike.
You are exactly correct on that. So believe it or not, solar power is far from a new idea.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, scientists began dabbling using the sun as energy source as early as the 19th century.
Wow.
While we were reading this script, I decided to do a little bit of research on what was going on in the 19th century, in the early and late 19th century. Did you know this is like when Napoleon was still around? Let's see, the light bulb was invented during the 19th century. The telephone was invented in the 19th century.
So all the things we use
All
today.
the fun stuff happened in the
Except for Napoleon. We don't use them today anymore.
We don't use Napoleon anymore. No, that's Marco Polo. I was thinking there's a game, but that's another guy. No, but I just was kind of curious. The 19th century was a really cool era for invention.
Mm-hmm.
And so in 1954, in fact, the first solar cell was developed by Bell Labs and was considered expensive and inefficient at the time, obviously. I mean, think about it now. I mean, it's still pretty expensive now. I can't imagine what it was like in 1954.
Yeah.
So this just meant that scientists continued to develop the technology to make it better. And unfortunately, it wasn't really until the early 2000s that we began to see the leap in solar technology.
Mm-hmm.
So with technology improvements and growing concerns over reducing our carbon footprint, which we're always concerned about, there was a growing desire for solar energy and other renewable energy sources. So governments around the world began to incentivize the use of solar energy through tax credits and subsidies, and the industry finally began to kind of explode.
Yeah. I have memories of being in elementary school, and it seemed like overnight everyone was starting to get solar panels on their house, which I always thought was really cool. And I used to ask my mom why we can't get solar panels.
She was like, because you're crazy and they're expensive.
Well, she's like, yeah, especially at the time, they were very expensive. They're more affordable now. But I was always very jealous. And it's especially great to have solar panels in Arizona where the sun shines almost all year.
Even when it's cold outside like it is right now.
Exactly.
I always have to remind myself, sun does not equal heat all the time.
Not all the time. That is true. So now let's jump into a few reasons why solar power has increased in its popularity over the years. Number one, cost reduction. We mentioned this, but to give some data here, the cost of producing and installing solar panels has fallen by over 80% in the last decade.
That's a nice discount.
That's a huge discount. 80% discount, I'm shopping.
Heck
That
yes.
sounds like better than a Black Friday deal.
Heck yes, I'm on it. Send me the link.
Yeah, right? So this dramatic price drop has made solar energy more affordable, obviously, and that has increased its spread and has also opened it to a broader segment of the market for people to enjoy and utilize solar energy. Also, the environmental impact. We know that people are more concerned about the environment.
Yeah.
And because solar energy is a renewable resource, this makes it a really attractive option for people who are looking to utilize other resources besides oil and gas. And it's a cleaner energy source. And also it helps reduce your bills too,
Yeah.
because you rely less on oil and gas in your house. If we're talking about,
Which can get pretty
households.
expensive at times.
Yes, it can. Also, energy independence. In our previous episode on oil and gas, we talked a lot about the geopolitical risks that are associated with oil and gas, and that can influence our supply of oil and gas and also the cost. Because solar energy is decentralized, it can be harnessed locally, reducing a country's dependence on another for energy that they require.
Oil can only be found in some parts of the land.
Exactly.
When you're drilling, the sun is above you at all times.
Yes. And while there are some places in the world where the sun shines more or shines less, we'll get to some reasons why maybe that doesn't matter so much anymore. Also, there are government incentives and policy supports. We've talked about this. The government is trying to incentivize people to utilize other resources besides oil and gas. This can come in the form of tax credits, subsidies, or grants that has helped with the expansion of solar. And now that we have increased or achieved technological advancements in the field of solar energy. This has helped with battery storage technologies, smart grid solutions, and solar panel efficiency, which has made them easier to install and utilize, but also has made it easier to harness that energy.
That's awesome.
Especially in places where maybe the sun doesn't shine as consistently. It has reduced that risk or downfall to solar, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
So, how do you get involved in solar as an investor? This is the big question.
Always, always. So there are tons of ways that you can get involved, and let's just cover a few of them. So we've got solar stocks. So one of the most direct ways to invest in solar energy is through stocks. There are a number of publicly traded companies that you'll find on the Nasdaq and S&P 500 or wherever. That you can purchase. And so some of the notable ones are First Solar. So just in case for those who want to look, who play the stock market game, remember I told you what my grandfather used to, for them it's FSLR. So First Solar is known for producing solar panels. And this company has been a major player in the global solar market. And just a little fun fact here. They are right here in town, up the street, in Tempe, Arizona.
Wow.
Go figure.
Valley of the Sun.
That's what we're called, right? For good reason.
For good reason.
There's also SunPower, which is SPWR. They're a major provider of residential solar solutions. So again, if you're driving around and you see those solar panels on the top, they may have been the ones who put those in. And then there's Enphase Energy, ENPH, and they specialize in solar inverts and energy management systems. So those are just three of the main ones that you can kind of get your hands on.
Very cool. Yeah. And as you can imagine, there are also opportunities to invest in solar ETFs. We've covered what ETFs are, or exchange traded funds, in some of our previous episodes. So you can tune into those to get a little bit more info. But ETFs can help provide a more diversified approach, as they may focus on a bundle of renewable energy resources, not just solar. Or they may invest in a group of companies that are focused on different areas of the supply chain of solar.
Cool.
Like production, technology development, and servicing.
Got it. So, I mean, we've talked about this type of financing for a lot and how investors can invest, and that's in debt. So you can also do that in the solar infrastructure of debt financing. So this involves lending capital to companies to help finance their development, construction, and the operation of actually the solar projects themselves. So the goal is to fund the upfront cost. So again, giving them all the stuff to buy the raw materials, or actually, solar panel installation, inverts, grid connections, product development. It all, you have to start somewhere, and it all costs money.
Mhm.
And so this also helps provide lenders with a fixed income through interest payments over the life of the debt. Again, you loan them money, they pay it back every month with a little bit of interest.
Mhm.
Can be really nice to get that little paycheck.
Totally.
And you can invest in project finance debt, which helps fund a specific project as well. So you can be like, I want to focus on just this one. You can donate, or not donate, you can invest. I wish it was donation, right? Or I'm sure the companies wish it was a
Yeah,
donation.
companies wish it was donation.
You invest and get that little check back. Or you can invest in corporate debt,
Hmm.
in which the debt is issued directly to the company, who may use the fund for several projects or to expand their operations.
Got it.
The key difference in between these debt financing and equity investments is debt investors receive that regular paycheck. And again, if you have equity, you get a share of the profits generated, and you also have a little bit of control.
Mhm.
So that's kind of fun.
Got it. Yeah. So while solar infrastructure debt financing offers promising opportunities for steady, predictable returns, it is not without its drumroll
Risks.
risks. That's right. So let's talk a little bit about that. With solar energy projects, you might encounter delays. And delays can arise from a variety of factors. This can include dealing with issues with equipment procurement, permitting, weather conditions, supply chain disruptions, all sorts of things. If the project fails to meet its scheduled completion date, it can postpone the start of revenue generation. And this can potentially delay or reduce the debt payments that you as an investor could receive.
Which makes sense. If it's raining outside and you're trying to do a project outside, it's not going to work very well.
Right.
So you can't pay your investors if nothing's happening.
Yeah,
So,
there's all sorts of things that can impact that. And, that's part of honestly like construction and solar panels, you have to install them. So it kind of falls into that. They run into similar risks there. And even after the project is completed, unforeseen issues such as faulty equipment or problems with the grid connections can delay the start of revenue generation. Also, changes in energy policy. Solar energy projects are often supported by government incentives, as we've mentioned. However, changes in energy policy, regulatory frameworks, or the elimination of subsidies, should that happen, could significantly affect the profitability and viability of these projects.
I remember when solar panels first came out, I had a friend that had them, and they would tell me like, yeah, I got a check from the what is the company? The electric company. Thank you. Because they got so much energy saved in that little battery that they also helped their neighbors. So the electric company was actually paying them.
Yeah.
So if they stop doing that, people might not want to get those panels at all.
Yes, exactly. And
not very pretty.
part of the reason why people even get them installed, there's few people that can afford solar panel installed on their house specifically, just paying it outright. The reason why they can afford it is because of these government subsidies.
Yeah.
So if those go away, obviously the demand for putting solar panels on a house would change.
Yeah. So those are a few of the risks, but there's one more risk that I want to touch on, and that's the operational risks. So solar infrastructure relies on solar panel efficiency, maintenance, and system performance to generate those expected revenues. If it doesn't work, how am I going to pay, right?
Right.
Operational risks include poor performance due to ineffective panels, technical failures, or higher than expected maintenance costs. So what if you got one of those weird houses and the panels just don't line up? I don't know.
Yeah, you got a weird house.
You got a weird house, sir. I'm not putting panels on it. No, but if it doesn't line up correctly, that can really affect the way these panels work.
Right.
And then there's also, unforeseen issues such as damage from extreme weather events.
Right.
They could also cause extended downtime or reduce the expected energy output. Again, we're seeing fires right now in LA. That
we
is
are.
crazy. Well, if they burn them up, that's not going to do any good.
Right. You
Or
lose
a
that
hurricane and they get knocked off and ruined. I mean, the weather is unpredictable, it feels
Yeah.
like. So you never know what can happen. But of course, there's always ways to mitigate these risks. Don't live where hurricanes happen. No, I'm just kidding. Talk to them when they're doing. But you want to speak with your wealth advisor, and they'll help you make sure that your investment is right for you, and they'll help you understand how to diversify that portfolio and mitigate some of those risks.
Yeah, absolutely. So why would an investor want to invest in solar energy? There are a few compelling reasons for sure.
Yeah.
One being growth potential.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we've talked about how this is an up and coming, or it has been an up and coming industry for many years now, and it just continues to grow. And it is expected to continue to grow at a rapid pace. According to various reports, the global solar market could grow at a compound annual growth rate of over 20% in the next 5 to 10 years.
All right.
Pretty
I
cool.
like that. Yeah.
And as more companies and governments make the transition towards renewable energy resources, demand for solar power will continue to rise. Also, government support, right? With climate change initiatives and carbon reduction targets becoming more prominent, more countries are backing the renewable energy sector with policy support, grants and tax credits, like we mentioned, which means that the solar industry has a favorable regulatory environment as if things continue to play out the way that they are now. And also, I bet you know what I'm going to say next.
My favorite word.
It's diversification. Solar is a great way to diversify your portfolio. Not only does it provide exposure to an emerging industry, but it also offers some protection against the volatility of traditional energy markets like oil and gas. So it might be a good idea to invest if you're looking to invest in commodities, maybe investing in not just oil and gas or just solar, but maybe both.
A little bit of both.
And since it is a renewable resource, it is decoupled from fossil fuel prices, and it could provide stability in uncertain times, maybe when the oil and gas industry or market is being plagued by those geopolitical issues that we discussed, or we're having issues with supply. This could be something that could help your portfolio stay well-rounded.
I love that. And there's a few other reasons actually to invest. So there's long-term viability. So unlike fossil fuels we've talked about many times, which are finite and subject to geopolitical risk, solar energy, on the other hand, is a long-term sustainable source of energy. As technology continues to improve, as it probably is going to as we get older as well.
Can't help it.
No, you cannot help it. Solar panels hopefully will become a little bit more efficient and storage solutions will enhance their viability. That's going to be awesome because maybe those panels are going to hold a little bit more energy and help a little bit more, even though they are doing great. They're doing God's work right now, okay? But like they could be a little better.
Yeah.
And there's also social responsibility. So we've covered responsible investing many a times. And solar energy certainly fits into that category.
Yeah.
As more people look to align their investments with their values, solar energy offers a way to put your money into a future-oriented, environmentally friendly solution.
Yeah. And doesn't that sound nice?
It does sound nice.
So in conclusion, you can see that solar energy can be an attractive investment opportunity for investors. Maybe this episode has sparked some interest in you, our listeners even. And our goal of this podcast is to help expose the world of alternative investments and the many opportunities that lie within it. Solar energy is just one of them. And this could be a great way to diversify your portfolio. And it's an exciting asset class to be a part of since it's continued to grow.
I love that. And if you're, ready to look into solar energy and how it may fit into your investment strategy, be sure to do my favorite thing again, do your research. There's lots of stuff out there. Where Arizona is not the only state that, is the value of the sun, but sun is everywhere.
Yeah.
So look into that. And remember, your investment should work for you and align with your investment goals. So professional help is out there, you guys. We always want to encourage you guys to, again, seek that professional help.
Like a therapist.
Twice a week. Listen. No, I'm just kidding. Listen to your wealth advisor.
Yeah.
Ask those hard questions, but they have that fiduciary responsibility.
Yep.
So they're going to steer you in that right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And help answer any questions that you have.
Yep.
Well, that's all for our episode today. Thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye. Thanks for joining us. Stay tuned for more insight on our next episode.
And don't forget to subscribe to continue the Alternative Investments chat. See you next time.
Content provided in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as professional, financial, or investment advice. This podcast should not be construed as an offer to sell or a solicitation of any offer to buy any securities. We strongly recommend that you seek advice from a qualified professional before making any financial decisions.